Hey coin lovers! Welcome to the Worth Old Coins channel, your place to discover the hidden value and rare facts about old coins. In today's video we're revealing the top 5 valuable coins, and one of them might just be in your collection. So don't skip this video, let's find out their real worth. Top 1. The 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin, popularly known as the Canadian penny, is a small copper-plated coin with a face value of 1 cent, part of the long-running 1 cent series issued by the Royal Canadian Mint, and it represents both the continuation of Canada's most familiar coinage and a period of modernized minting practices at the turn of the new millennium. On the obverse front, the coin carries the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, Canada's head of state, designed by Canadian artist Dora de Pedery Hunt, whose effigy of the Queen was introduced in 1990 and remained in use until 2003. This particular portrait shows the Queen facing right, wearing the George IV state diadem, and it was notable as the first effigy of Elizabeth II on Canadian coinage, designed by a Canadian artist, marking a point of national pride in Canadian numismatic history. Around the portrait are the inscriptions Elizabeth II on the left and Dei Regina on the right, an abbreviated Latin title meaning Dei Gratia Regina, or By the Grace of God Queen. The reverse of the coin, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, depicts the iconic 2 maple leaves on a single twig, a design that first appeared on Canadian cents in 1937 and became one of the most recognizable symbols of Canada. On its circulating coinage above the maple leaf design is the word Canada, the issuing nation, while the denomination 1 cent is inscribed above the design, and the year of issue 2000 is placed below the leaves. The reverse design was chosen in the late 1930s during a modernization of Canadian coinage to showcase national identity, and it remained the standard reverse for pennies until the denomination's discontinuation in 2012. In terms of technical specifications, the 2001 cent coin was struck in a modern composition that differed from the traditional bronze alloy of earlier decades. Beginning in 1997, Canada's 1 cent coins were made of a core of 98.4% steel with 1.6% nickel plated with copper, giving them the appearance of the traditional red-brown penny while greatly reducing production costs. The coin weighs 2.25 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a thickness of 1.45 millimeters, and a plain, smooth edge. Some 2000 cents were also produced with a different core composition, 98% zinc, 1.5% nickel plated with copper, as the Mint experimented with materials to optimize production. The Royal Canadian Mint in Winnipeg struck an enormous number of 1 cent coins in 2000 for general circulation, reflecting the heavy use of the denomination in daily transactions at the time, though exact numbers exceeded millions upon millions, making it a common issue today. There were also special collector versions struck in higher quality, including proof and specimen strikes, which were included in official mint sets and sold to numismatists. In terms of circulation value, the 2000 Canadian 1 cent coin is generally worth 1 cent in circulated condition, as it contains no precious metal, but uncirculated examples with original mint red luster may be worth between 10 cents and $1, while certified high-grade examples, MS65 or higher, can fetch several dollars from collectors. Building complete date sets of Canadian cents special proof or specimen strikes can be worth between $1 and $10 depending on condition and packaging. There are also a few minor varieties and errors that make the 2000 cent collectible, including off-center strikes, die cracks, or double dies, which can bring premiums depending on rarity. Historically, the 2001 cent coin is important as part of Canada's coinage at the dawn of the new millennium, circulating widely during a period of rapid technological and economic change in the country, and serving as an everyday token of commerce for Canadians before the eventual elimination of the penny in 2012 due to rising production costs that exceeded its face value. For many collectors today, the 2000 Canadian penny holds nostalgic value as one of the last decades of circulation for the denomination, a continuation of the beloved maple leaf design that symbolized Canadian identity for over 70 years and a representative artifact of Canada's monetary history in the early 21st century. Top 2. The 1999 Canadian 1 cent coin, commonly known as the Canadian penny, is a small copper-plated coin with a face value of 1 cent issued by the Royal Canadian Mint, and it belongs to the long-running cent series that was struck annually from 1858 until the denomination's final discontinuation in 2012. The obverse front of the 1999 cent carries the official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, Canada's monarch at the time, designed by Canadian artist Dora de Pedery Hunt. This portrait, first introduced in 1990, was the third effigy of Elizabeth II used on Canadian coinage, and the first created by a Canadian artist rather than a British sculptor, which made it an important milestone in Canadian numismatic history. It shows the Queen facing right, wearing the George IV state diadem, a crown often worn for state occasions, with her name, Elizabeth II, appearing to the left, and the Latin inscription Dei Regina, by the grace of God Queen, to the right. The reverse of the coin features the famous maple leaf twig design created in 1937 by British artist G.E. Kruger Gray, and it remained in use on Canada's 1-cent pieces for more than 70 years, making it one of the most recognizable Canadian coin designs. The reverse shows two stylized maple leaves on a single twig, a national emblem of Canada with the word Canada above the design, the denomination 1 cent at the top, and the year of issue 1999 at the bottom. Unlike earlier Canadian cents made of bronze, 95% copper with tin and zinc, the 1999 cent belongs to the modern era of Canadian coinage, when the mint shifted to cost-saving plated compositions. Beginning in 1997, the 1-cent coin was struck on a core of either zinc or steel, depending on production batch, both plated with pure copper to maintain the traditional penny-colored ASA result. The 1999 Canadian cent exists in two primary varieties, one made of 98% zinc with 1.5% nickel plated in copper weighing 2.25 grams, and the other made of 98.4% steel with 1.6% nickel plated in copper weighing 2.35 grams. Both versions measure 19.05 millimeters in diameter, have a thickness of about 1.45 millimeters, and carry a plain, smooth edge, unlike other denominations that feature reading. Because both steel and zinc planchets were used in 1999, collectors sometimes distinguish them by weight or with the aid of a magnet. Steel cents are magnetic, zinc cents are not, and this difference adds a layer of interest to the year's coinage. The Royal Canadian Mint in Winnipeg struck hundreds of millions of these coins for circulation, making the 1999 cent extremely common, while additional coins were produced in higher quality finishes for collectors, including proof strikes with mirror-like fields and frosted designs, as well as specimen strikes with satin-like surfaces included in official collector sets and circulation. The 1999 cent is generally worth only its face value of 1 cent, but uncirculated examples with original red luster, the brilliant copper color as minted, can be worth between 10 cents and $1, while high-grade coins certified as mint state 65 or higher may fetch several dollars, with top-graded examples sometimes valued at $20 or more. Proof and specimen coins are typically valued between $1 and $5 depending on packaging and condition. Varieties and errors also exist for 1999 cents, including off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, all of which can increase value depending on severity. Historically, the 1999 Canadian penny is notable for being issued just before the new millennium, during a time when Canada was modernizing its coinage technology and experimenting with plated compositions to reduce costs, foreshadowing the eventual withdrawal of the penny from circulation in 2012 due to production expenses exceeding its face value. For Canadians, the 1999 penny was an everyday coin widely used in cash transactions, vending machines, and change jars. But for collectors, it represents both continuity, the enduring maple leaf design, and the Queen's portrait and change as the composition shifted away from traditional bronze to modern plated steel and zinc today. While still common in circulation and among collections, the 1999 Canadian 1-cent coin carries symbolic value as part of the final era of Canadian pennies, reflecting both national identity and the practical economics of coin production at the close of the 20th century. Top 3. The 1979 Canadian 1-cent coin, commonly called the Canadian penny, is a small copper coin with a face value of 1 cent issued by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and it represents part of a long-running cent series that spanned from the 19th century until the denomination's discontinuation in 2012, making it one of the most familiar and symbolic coins in Canada's monetary history. On the obverse front, the coin features the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. Created by sculptor Arnold Machin, introduced in 1965 and used on Canadian coins until 1989, this effigy, often referred to as the young head portrait, depicts the Queen facing right, wearing a tiara of the girls of Great Britain and Ireland, a jeweled headpiece she frequently wore in official portraits of the time. Around her image appear the inscriptions Elizabeth II to the left and D.G. Regina to the right, which is the Latin abbreviation for Dei Gratia Regina, or by the grace of God, Queen. The reverse of the coin, designed in 1937 by British artist George Edward Kruger Gray, features the enduring maple leaf twig design, one of the most iconic images in Canadian numismatics. It depicts two stylized maple leaves on a single twig, a national emblem of Canada symbolizing both the country's natural heritage and its resilience. Above the design is the word Canada, at the top is the denomination 1 cent, and below the leaves is the date 1979, marking the year of issue. Technically, the 1979 Canadian 1-cent coin was struck in the traditional bronze alloy of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc, a composition used for Canadian pennies for most of the 20th century before the transitioned to copper-plated zinc and steel cores in the late 1990s. The coin has a weight of 2.8 grams, a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.45 millimeters, and a plain, smooth edge, making it easily recognizable by touch. The Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa struck hundreds of millions of these coins in 1979, making it a very common date in circulation and ensuring that examples are still widely available in collections and change jars today, even after the penny's discontinuation. Because of this large mintage, the 1979 cent is not considered rare, and in circulated condition it is worth only its face value of 1 cent, but its appeal lies in its place within the broader Canadian cent series and its bronze composition, which gives it a heavier and more substantial feel than later plated issues in the collector market. Uncirculated examples of the 1979 penny with full, original red luster are desirable, with values typically ranging from 10 cents to $1 in average mint state. Grades rising to $5 to $15 for high-grade certified examples in MS65 or above, and even higher for the rarest, gem, condition pieces with exceptional eye appeal. Coins graded at the top levels, MS66, MS67, can sometimes command $50 or more at auction due to their scarcity in pristine quality, even though the coin itself is common in lower grades. Collectors also pay attention to error varieties, and for the 1979 cent there are known examples of off-center strikes, double strikes, clipped planchets, and die cracks, all of which can significantly increase value depending on severity and demand. There are also minor die varieties caused by differences in minting, though none are considered major. Key issues for this year. Historically, the 1979 Canadian penny circulated widely during a time of political and economic change in Canada, the late 1970s being marked by inflation, energy concerns, and cultural developments, and the penny remained an essential part of everyday transactions used in vending machines, retail, and commerce throughout the nation. For many Canadians today, the 1979 cent represents both nostalgia for the bronze penny era and a tangible connection to daily life in the late 20th century, when the coin was still valued as an essential part of change. From a numismatic perspective, the 1979 penny is a common date, but it serves as an important piece for collectors building type sets, year sets, or full runs of Canadian 1-cent coins, and it remains a small but meaningful artifact of Canada's monetary heritage, combining the regal image of Queen Elizabeth II, the national symbol of the maple leaf, and the traditional bronze alloy that had been used for decades before modern cost-saving changes transformed the series. Top 4. The 1977 Canadian 1-cent coin, more widely known as the Canadian penny, is a small denomination coin with a face value of 1 cent struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and it belongs to the long-lived Canadian cent series that ran from 1858 until its discontinuation in 2012, making it a staple of Canadian coinage history. On the obverse, front side, the coin carries the official portrait of Queen Elizabeth II designed by the British sculptor Arnold Machin. Which was first introduced in 1965 and used until 1989, it portrays the young queen facing right, wearing the delicate Girls of Great Britain and Ireland tiara. One of her most iconic pieces of jewelry, a symbol of regal dignity around her portrait, are the inscriptions Elizabeth II on the left and D.G. Regina on the right, which is the abbreviated Latin phrase Dei Gratia Regina, translating to by the grace of God Queen. On the reverse, backside, the coin features the beloved maple leaf twig design, created by British artist George Edward Kruger Gray in 1937, which became the standard reverse motif of the Canadian cent for more than 70 years until the series ended. This design consists of 2 stylized maple leaves attached to a single twig, representing both Canada's natural identity and its strength, while also being one of the country's most recognizable national symbols. Above the design appears the word Canada, at the top is the denomination 1 cent, and at the bottom is the date 1977, clearly marking the year of issue. The technical specifications of the 1977 penny reflect the traditional bronze composition still in use at that time. The coin was made of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc, giving it a classic reddish-brown hue, a solid metallic feel, and a durability that allowed many examples to survive in circulation even decades later. The coin weighs 2.8 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, a thickness of about 1.45 millimeters, and a plain, smooth edge. The Royal Canadian Mint in Ottawa struck a very large number of these coins in 1977, with mintage figures exceeding 870 million pieces, which means the coin was very common in circulation and is still readily available today in coin collections rolls and even loose change found in households after the penny's withdrawal. Because of this high mintage, the 1977 Canadian 1-cent coin is not considered rare, and in circulated condition, it generally holds only its face value of 1 cent. However, its historical and Nostalgic appeal makes it cherished by collectors and those who remember the penny as part of everyday life, and the numismatic market values vary depending on condition. Circulated examples are worth only face value, but uncirculated coins with full original red, copper luster are far more desirable, with typical prices ranging from 10 cents to $1 in average mint state grades, and coins certified in higher levels such as MS65 or better can sell for $5 to $15 or more. The rarest, gem examples with flawless surfaces, sharp strikes, and exceptional eye appeal may even command $50 or more at specialized auctions, although these are exceptions. Collectors also pay attention to error coins, and for 1977 varieties exist such as off-center strikes, die cracks, clipped planchets, and other minting mistakes, all of which can significantly increase value depending on severity and rarity. There are no major, key varieties specifically tied to 1977, but small die variations do exist and are of interest to specialists. Historically, the 1977 penny circulated widely during a period when cash transactions dominated daily life in Canada, and the coin would have been used for decades in shops, vending machines, public transit, and countless other everyday exchanges. Its bronze composition also makes it part of the last era of heavier traditional pennies before the later shift to plated zinc and steel cores in the late 1990s, which makes it especially nostalgic to collectors who value the older, higher quality alloys. 4. Canadians today. The 1977 penny is a reminder of a time when the coin still played an active role in commerce despite its small denomination, and it serves as a tangible link to both national identity through the iconic maple leaf and the monarchy through the regal portrait of Queen Elizabeth II. While common and inexpensive, it remains an important piece of Canadian numismatic heritage and a treasured collectible for anyone assembling a date run of 1-cent coins or preserving a piece of Canada's cultural and monetary history. Top 5. The 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin, widely known as the Canadian penny, is a small denomination coin with a face value of 1 cent. Struck by the Royal Canadian Mint during the reign of Queen Elizabeth II, and it represents a fascinating year in Canadian numismatics because it carries two different obverse portraits of the Queen, making it a transitional year that collectors consider especially important. The first obverse design, which had been in use since 1990, was created by Canadian artist Dora de Pettery Hunt, and it depicts Queen Elizabeth II facing right, wearing the George IV state diadem with the inscriptions Elizabeth II to the left and D.G. Regina, Latin for, by the grace of God Queen, to the right. This was the first portrait of the Queen on Canadian coins created by a Canadian artist, and it remained in use until 2002. However, in 2003, to mark the 50th anniversary of her coronation, 1953 to 2003, a new portrait by Susanna Blunt, another Canadian artist, was introduced. This new effigy shows the Queen without a crown or diadem, a more naturalistic modern representation intended to reflect her as a mother and grandmother rather than in regal formality, and it became the permanent portrait used on Canadian coins from 2003 onward. Because of this change, the 2003 1-cent coin exists in two obverse varieties: the Coronation obverse, with Pettery Hunt's crowned portrait marking the Queen's Jubilee, and the new obverse, with Blunt's uncrowned portrait, and both types were struck for circulation, adding to the year's significance. On the reverse side, the coin features the enduring maple leaf twig design created in 1937 by British artist George Edward Kruger Gray, which shows two stylized maple leaves attached to a single twig symbolizing Canada's national identity and natural heritage. Surrounding the design are the inscriptions 1 cent at the top, Canada above the leaves, and the year 2003 at the bottom. Technically, the 2003 penny belongs to the modern plated era of Canadian 1-cent coins. It was struck with a core of either copper-plated zinc or copper-plated steel. Depending on the production batch, the zinc core version consists of 98.4% zinc with a copper plating weighing 2.25 grams, while the steel core version consists of 94% steel, 1.5% nickel, and 4.5% copper plating weighing 2.35 grams. Both varieties measure 19.05 millimeters in diameter, have a thickness of about 1.45 millimeters, and a plain, smooth edge. The steel core coins are magnetic, while the zinc core coins are not, which allows collectors to easily distinguish them with a magnet. The Royal Canadian Mint struck hundreds of millions of 2003 pennies, with the bulk being produced at the Winnipeg Mint, making them common in circulation, while special proof and specimen issues were struck at the Ottawa facility for collectors. Because of the extremely high mintage, the 2003 penny is not rare in circulation, and circulated examples hold only face value, but its dual obverse varieties, combined with its role as the first year of the Susanna Blunt effigy, make it a key collectible in modern Canadian coinage. In the collector market, typical uncirculated examples with the Pettery Hunt crowned obverse or the Blunt uncrowned obverse sell for 10 cents to $1, with higher certified grades such as Mint State 65 and above fetching $5 to $15, and exceptional gem quality coins may reach $50 or more at auction. Proof strikes with mirror-like fields and frosted devices are worth $1 to $5, while specimen sets with satin-like surfaces are also valued in a similar range depending on packaging. Collectors also seek error. Coins from 2003 which include off-center strikes, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and double strikes, and these can be worth significantly more depending on rarity and visual appeal. Historically, the 2003 penny is significant not only for its role as a circulating coin in the early 21st century, but also for marking the transition between two portraits of Queen Elizabeth II and the recognition of her Golden Jubilee as monarch. For Canadians, this coin circulated widely in daily life, being used in shops, vending machines, and everyday cash transactions at a time when the penny was still a familiar part of commerce, although discussions of its discontinuation had already begun due to rising production costs today. The 2003 Canadian 1-cent coin is a common but historically rich piece of numismatic history, linking the traditional maple leaf design with a landmark change in royal portraiture, and it stands as a small but meaningful reminder of Canada's cultural identity, its ties to the monarchy, and the evolution of its coinage at the beginning of the new millennium. Thanks for watching my videos. Please subscribe my channel for more videos.